Welcome to the Street Resistance Download. We're continuing our theme in the book of Exodus, chapter 32 this week. Last week we talked about kind of idols in our life. We talked about the children of Israel and choosing to kind of rebel against God and create this idol. And they made this golden calf out of jewelry that they had. And Moses comes off the mountain, Mount Sinai, after he's supposed to receive the law from the Lord. And this kind of crazy thing happens. And we talked a little bit about what that looked like. This week I want to talk a little bit about being a guardian. What does that have to do with Exodus 32? I'll explain in just a minute. But have you ever had somebody in your life that kind of looked out for you? They protected you. They had your best interest in mind. You knew it. Maybe even somebody who made you feel safe when you were around them. I had a friend like that. His name was Jerry. He was my best friend in high school. And we always had each other's backs. And he was always looking out for me. And we had people that wanted to beat us up or whatever. We said something we shouldn't have said. And we always were there for each other. And I felt better and safer when I was around him and we hung out together because I knew that he would be there for me. He wouldn't turn his back on me or walk out on me. And the truth is, all of us really want that sense in our life. If we don't have it, we feel vulnerable, we feel sad. And I know for me, that was a big deal in my life. And in becoming a Christ follower, I began to realize that I have a guardian in who Christ is as my God and my Savior, but also He calls me to be a guardian. Moses, before he led the children of Israel, was actually a shepherd. He was a shepherd for quite a while after fleeing and having to go to Midian from when he left from Egypt. And he shepherded, and I think shepherding taught Moses a lot about being a guardian, being a protector of people. Because what happens with Moses is these children of Israel kind of go crazy and rebel and do all this stuff that's just out of control. And in the process of it, before he even goes down to see them, he has this conversation with God. And it's found in Exodus chapter 32, and it says these words. Exodus 32, verse 9. And the Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. They're stubborn. None of you are stubborn, are you? Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, in order that I may make a great nation out of you. So God's saying, hey Moses, I know you love me, so I can get rid of these people, we can start over fresh. Have you guys ever felt like that with some people around you? But Moses implored the Lord his God and said, O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, with evil intent did he bring them out, to kill them in the mountains and consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your burning anger and relent from this disaster against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants to whom you swore by your own self and said, I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and all this land I have promised I will give your offspring, that they shall inherit forever. And the Lord relented from sending disaster, and he spoke that he had spoken of bringing to his people. Now here's the interesting thing. I really have a sense in my heart, and maybe I'm wrong, that God was just looking for someone to stand up for his people. Somebody who was willing to fight for his people. Somebody who was willing to stand in the gap and be a guardian when other people would run away and say, yeah, go ahead and destroy them. Go ahead and just obliterate them and let me be the main leader. But Moses showed his servanthood. Moses showed his willingness to stand up for people, even when they did wrongs. And he learned what it really meant to be a shepherd of God's people, to be a guardian. And the challenge that I want to bring to you today, that I know God's continually speaking to me, is who is God asking you to be a guardian for? Maybe there's some people in your life that they're not living for the Lord. They used to be Christ followers. Now they've walked away and they're doing things that they shouldn't be. But who's going to fight for them? Who's going to remind them of truth? Who's going to point them towards what God has for them? Maybe there's people in your life who are following God and they're being picked on, they're being abused and maligned, and think people are doing things to them or damaging them in their faith. Who's going to stand up for them? Who's going to stand for injustice? Who's going to be a guardian? Who is God calling you to be a guardian towards? Because God is a guardian to you. And I'm sure he's placed others around you that have guarded you as well. And so as a result, he then speaks to us, it's your turn to be a guardian, to be a shepherd of the people that I placed around you. Those that are followers of me especially, but also those that are far from me. Lead them to me, he says, like a good shepherd, protecting them, showing them truth, and helping them to experience all that I have for them. In the midst of this whole process, yes, some people died and some bad things happened to the Israelites, but overall, Moses protected the people of Israel and allowed to lead them not only into the promised land, but eventually, by raising up other leaders like Joshua, he allowed them to continue the journey that God had called them to and his mission that he had for them, which ultimately led us to Jesus and even us today. So this week, who is God calling you to be a guardian of, to be a shepherd of, to protect and to look out for? Think about it, apply it, and see how God might use you to make a difference in somebody else's life. I love you, believe in him.